your brain is incredibly good at giving you the best excuses in the world why you shouldn't be doing this right now and you should be coming back into your comfort zone, instead of saying, you know what, these are just thoughts, these are just emotions, they're uncomfortable and they're maybe even a little bit scary at times, but you know what, they can't really stop me. So my attempt with this course is to teach people to sit in the driver's seat of the car. You're driving and you're going to take your thoughts and your emotions with you as you do so.
That was Michael Herold on Psychologists Off the Clock.
We are 5 experts in psychology here to bring you cutting-edge and science-based ideas to help you flourish in your relationships, work, and health.
I'm Dr. Debbie Sorensen, a clinical psychologist practicing in Mile High, Denver, Colorado, author of Act for Burnout and Mac Daily Journal.
From America's Heartland, I'm Dr. Emily Edlin, a clinical psychologist based in Chicago, Illinois, and author of Autonomy Supportive Parenting.
Calling in from Vienna, Austria, I'm Michael Herold, ACT coach, confidence trainer, and the author of an upcoming book on developing your confidence and social skills.
From Boston, I'm Dr. Yael Schoenbrunn, faculty at Brown University and author of Work, Parent, Thrive, and an upcoming book about misunderstanding.
And from coastal New England, I'm Dr. Jill Stoddard, author of Be Mighty, The Big Book of ACT Metaphors, and Imposter No More.
We hope you take what you learn here to build a rich and meaningful life.
Thank you for listening to Psychologists Off the Clock.
Hey listeners, just a super quick reminder that you can listen to the podcast ad-free by supporting us on Patreon for just $5 a month. Or you can support the podcast with a one-time donation on Buy Me a Coffee. Thank you to everyone who's already supporting us.
Welcome, listeners. Today I get to do something a little different and a whole lot of fun. I'm interviewing one of my favorite humans and my Psychologist Off the Clock co-host, Michael Herold. You may know Michael as the funny one on our podcast, the guy who somehow makes evidence-based psychology make you laugh. What you may not know is that Michael is also a confidence and social skills coach, a gamer extraordinaire, and truly one of the funniest people I know, which when you think about it is a deeply unfair combination of traits for the rest of us. Michael has spent the last decade plus running over 100 confidence building workshops, working with more than 1,000 people, and bringing the full alphabet soup of evidence-based approaches, ACT, DBT, CBT, CFT, to the very human problem of, existing around other people. Today, we're giving our listeners a sneak peek of his confidence building online course, which is available to everyone, and I can personally vouch for it. Years ago, Michael asked if anyone wanted to give feedback on a live training version of this course, and I volunteered, ostensibly to be helpful to him, but in reality, I needed it. Like a lot of people, I've spent a lot of my life battling social anxiety and a special brand of social awkwardness that no amount of psychology training fully inoculates you against. And I promise you, it really helped. There are exercises from that boot camp that I still think about and practice regularly, especially in large social settings and before talks that I give. So trust the social skills coach who also happens to be a hilarious gamer. Michael, welcome to your podcast.
Thank you. Thank you, Yael. And I was just by your intro reminded of the time when you were in the group and you met some of my other friends that I brought in. And one of them every once in a while asks about, hey, how's Yael doing? So
is she still awkward? No, I'm cured.
No. This course, since you've joined it for your amazing feedback, it ran for 6 more years. And last fall, I decided that I would go through the material and I'll take a deep dive and I'll update it with the stuff that I've learned since then and new scientific findings. And then I did another live round of going through the material with a live group of participants. Some listeners of the podcast here participated as well. And now it's ready to go out into the world again. And this course is really about confidence building and a lot of the misconceptions that I've seen over the last decade plus of training this that people have that hold them back from really going out and doing the things that they want and being held back by, but what are other people going to think about me? And what if I get rejected? And then everyone kind of stays in their comfort zone for another 10, 20 years and hope for things to change. And this content that we're talking about now, the next half hour or so, that's really been at the center of my professional life over the last 10 years. So let's get some of that stuff out there and discuss it in a little bit more depth.
Yeah. And I just want to say that acceptance and commitment therapy, the tools that you share in this course, really are the reason that I personally have been able to step out of my comfort zone and do things like be on a podcast, like write books, like speak in front of audiences in ways that are so meaningful for the impact that I want to leave on the world, which is sharing evidence-based science about relationships. And I really otherwise couldn't have done it. But there really are a lot of misconceptions that trip people up, that keep them in their comfort zones, that prevent them from doing the meaningful things that they really wish that they could do. So I wonder if we can start with this just fundamental question of what gets in the way of our confidence building.
So there are a couple of misconceptions about how this actually works, but I'll start with what I have learned is the biggest misconception that people have, and that very often makes their jaw drop a little bit when they realize that this is what they've been doing and it is not working. And that is the idea of mindset first. There's a lot of good things to be said about being motivated and to have the right mindset. Like, don't get me wrong, this is really good stuff. But a lot of people, when it comes to living a full and meaningful life, they wait for the mindset and the motivation first. I've seen this in workshops where people would kind of figure things out and they would come back and they say, Michael, I think I found the solution. Like, I can do a lot of uncomfortable things when I'm motivated, but when I'm not motivated, it's hard. So Michael, I know how to solve this. How do I get motivated? And I told them, like, I don't want you, like, for the purpose of our exercises here, I don't want you to be motivated. I want you to be able to do the important stuff in your life, the meaningful things, the things that give you fulfillment, even when they are hard and you're not necessarily feeling like doing them right now. The mindset idea, I just need the right mindset and then I'll just do all of the good stuff, whatever it is. I'll study more, I'll work out more, I'll live healthier, I'll talk to more people. I just need the right mindset. So the seductive thing with the mindset shift is that the idea that I just need to get into the right mindset first step you can do from the comfort of your comfort zone. You can sit on your couch and you can work on your mindset. And that is seductive because it isn't uncomfortable. The problem is that you can do that for 5 or 10 years and you still haven't arrived at a mindset that now magically makes you go out and, for example, be more social or more assertive or more talkative with, whatever it might be. And there's a metaphor that I like to use to get that across. And it's the idea of driving a car. So in the ACT context, think of driving a car with the idea that you have certain rules that you need to follow. You have certain places you want to get with your car, but you are sitting in the passenger seat. You're sitting in the passenger seat. Who's driving? Well, your thoughts and your emotions are kind of driving the car. So if you're thinking the right things, if you're motivated, if you're positive and you're all like going all in, then you're driving in the right direction. But if you're not, then, things are going nowhere. So your job as the passenger, or the human in this case, is to have the right thought and to have the right emotions. And then you'll be moving towards your goals for a while. And that is really difficult to do, if not impossible. So my attempt with this course is to teach people to sit in the driver's seat of the car. You're driving. You're sitting there. Now, here's the flip side to that, though, because your thoughts and your emotions, they're not getting out of the car. They're going to sit on the passenger seat and they are going to tell you what a lousy driver you are and that you were just going too fast, too slow, you took the wrong turn. They're going to berate you throughout the entire drive. And you will be tempted to sit in the driver's seat and then wait until that noisy passenger gets out of the car. And then you would finally be able to go after your dreams and your goals and all of the good stuff. And that's just not how it works. It's the idea of you're driving and you're going to take your thoughts and your emotions with you as you do so.
In graduate school, I was trained in cognitive behavioral therapy, which teaches you to challenge thoughts in order to have fewer of those thoughts, but also fewer of the emotions that go along with those. And in acceptance and commitment therapy, exactly as, and I love the car metaphor of, your anxiety or your self-critical thoughts are going to be along for the ride, but you can still decide to drive in a direction that is valuable to you. For me, that just works better because as an anxious person, anxiety is always along for the ride. And when I stop expecting it not to be in the car with me, I have so much more freedom to go the directions that I want to go. I love that you're making this video course available to everybody because this is such a powerful message for many people who have not found success in eliminating anxiety, in eliminating self-critical or otherwise problematic thoughts. So this is so powerful.
So I would also like to shine a spotlight on my friend anxiety. And it's weird to say my friend anxiety. Anxiety, like, don't get me wrong, like anxiety is painful and it holds us back. And I wish less people would struggle with anxiety. And I would also hold a little bit of a torch up for some of the anxieties out there that show us that what we're doing is important. Because there are a lot of things I can do throughout my day and anxiety isn't even an issue. But the moment that I'm doing something that I really care about, anxiety pops up. And I used to fear it. I used to dislike it is a kind word to use for it. But now I've learned to not necessarily like it, but there is a certain like thumbs up feeling that comes with anxiety that tells me that right now I'm doing something that obviously adds meaning to my life. And that is a really good checkbox to have as well.
I'm so glad that you added that in. And I will say that that's a part of, like, you can recognize that anxiety as the passenger can sometimes be annoying and certainly exhausting, but also can offer some wisdom, can offer some motivation, and can offer a sign that this is really important to you. I mean, the word that often circulates around the mindfulness world is equanimity. So it's sort of like a friendliness with anxiety. It doesn't mean that you necessarily love it. It's your favorite thing, but sort of like an appreciation for what it offers, even as you recognize that it can be uncomfortable or tiring or, an unpleasant passenger at times.
Yeah. I remember the very first times I started to do live workshops on the topic, ironically enough, of self-confidence. And I came into these Zoom meetings with so much anxiety because they would look up to me as the coach. And what if they know that I have anxiety, like opening up the Zoom window and starting to talk for 90 minutes and going through material? And then I realized that, and by the way, this still happens. Every time I'm going into a training, there's this homeopathic dose of anxiety. And after a while, I came to realize that I really sort of want that to be there because it shows me that I still care. I still care about knowing the right answers, having the right material ready. And sometimes I don't, and I can't answer a question. But this little reminder that sits on my shoulder and says, hey, Michael, look at that. What if you screw it up? Look at that. That probably means you care about those people. That's really important.
Yeah. So one commonly offered tool that, circulates around the influencer world is just this recipe of like, in a situation, ask this kind of question. In a situation, where you're trying to approach somebody for a date, say, try this. Why not learn exactly just what to say and do in each situation?
Yeah, that is indeed a very, very common question. I also one of the misconceptions that people have on building this. And you're basically running into two separate problems when you try this. If I were to give you a manual on how to be assertive around your colleagues at work, this manual would probably be 2,000 pages and it wouldn't be enough. It wouldn't be detailed enough because one day you can assert yourself saying a certain respectful line and you're drawing a boundary and that works. The next day you're talking with a different person, or a person who's maybe this time a little bit hungry or a little bit stressed. It's a different environment. And now you need a completely different script. That we humans, we are so complex, but at the same time, we're looking for the most simple solutions. And with social skills like that, where you would need a 10,000 page manual that would cover every angle that could happen in a conversation with someone else, you can compare that to riding a bicycle, learning to ride a bicycle, right? If I were to tell you that I just bought a bicycle and it's in the corner of my room, and I'm going to read every book on riding bicycles, I'm going to watch every YouTube video and every like Tour de France recording. And once I've done all of that stuff, then I'm going to get on the bicycle and I'm going to ride it. Everyone will probably say, Michael, you're a dummy, because that's not how it works. Because there's so many things you have to learn about that you actually learn it by doing it. So riding a bicycle is not math. You can't learn the rules and then you're good. You have to learn by practicing it. And so that is one problem. It's just the complexity of it all. And the other problem, however, is even more insidious, because if I were to give you a 2,000 page manual on how to be, for example, be more assertive at work, and you learn that 2,000 page manual by heart, you're going to show up at work. And the first time you need to assert yourself, you're going to ask, yeah, but what if this does not work? I've seen this like so many times in social skills workshops where people would learn the ins and outs and all the details and the body language and the eye contact and the phrasing things and the I sentences versus the you sentences and all of that stuff. And then they would go out and they would do nothing, because what if I'm not doing it right? What if I fail? What if the first time I forget something? So that is why, for me, even social skills start with, well, getting on the dance floor first. I see social skills as these badass dance moves that you can, what would the kids say, that you can flex on the dance floor? Am I getting this right? But you're never going to use all the really cool dance moves if you don't have the confidence, the courage to get on the dance floor first. And that is exactly also why this stuff needs to be practiced in a safe environment where you're not practicing confidence skills at work. You're practicing them in a safe environment where if you embarrass yourself a little bit, like, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really, you can get rejected a couple of times. It doesn't matter.
It's been a disturbingly warm, dry winter out here in the American West, which is bad news in terms of fire danger this summer. I don't want to breathe wildfire smoke, so I'm already preparing with an Air Doctor air purifier. It will give me peace of mind and extra protection this wildfire season. Air Doctor's powerful 3-stage filtration captures extremely small particles, about 100 times smaller than what typical air purifiers can remove. It captures airborne contaminants you definitely don't want to be breathing in: dust, pollen, mold spores, pet dander, wildfire smoke, bacteria, viruses, odors, smoke, ozone, and volatile organic compounds. It's whisper quiet while it's running, not loud like other air filters on the market, and its auto mode feature ensures optimal air 24/7. You'll get reminders to change your filter so you don't need to remember or guess when to do it. Air Doctor won Newsweek's Reader's Choice Award for Best Air Purifier. Head to airdoctorpro.com and use promo code POTC to get up to $300 off today. Air Doctor comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee plus a 3-year warranty, an $84 value free. Get this exclusive podcast-only offer now at airdoctorpro.com, airdoctorpro.com, using promo code POTC.
I'm a psychologist, so I'm professionally obligated to notice when I'm rationalizing bad decisions and to help other people do the same. That's just how it is how people end up in bad relationships and bad phone plans. Mint Mobile exists purely to fix the second one. Mint Mobile offers premium wireless plans starting at $15 a month. That's not a typo and not an error. I checked. They have high-speed data, unlimited talk and text, the nation's largest 5G network. All things your current carrier might have, just without the part where they take all your money. There's no contracts, no hassle, no dramatic breakup conversations with a retention specialist. If you like your money, Mint Mobile is for you. You can shop plans at mintmobile.com/POTC. That's mintmobile.com/POTC. Disclaimer: upfront payment of $45 for 3-month 5GB plan required, equivalent to $15 per month. New customer offer for the first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra.
See Mint Mobile for details.
So I have two competing questions. So I'm going to start with one and then I'm going to come back to the second one. But we've talked a lot about what your skills course doesn't do, right? It doesn't tell you how to get rid of your anxiety. It doesn't tell you exactly what to say and do in a given situation. What would you say that these skills do offer? Like, what are you going to leave viewers with?
The main thing that I've been training people to do is to leave their comfort zone, right? If you do something that is new, if it's something that is important to you, it is going to create anxiety. So it is by definition going to be outside of your comfort zone. And our ability as humans to leave our comfort zone for something that is important has really atrophied, I find. Like there's so many things that will give us really good excuses to come back into our comfort zone. There's so many devices that can bring us back into our comfort zone as well. I mean, you can be at a party where you want to meet new friends and talk to people, and then you're standing in the corner and look at that, you have a phone in your pocket and you can check social media, right? And you can do that for a couple of hours and you have your little comfort zone bubble while you're at a social event where you really wanted to go to meet some new people in your city or whatever it is. So what I'm like, that is my task right now, to get people outside of their comfort zone. And you can think of that a little bit like having a rubber band around you. The moment you leave your comfort zone, there's this rubber band that's trying to pull you back. And no human is ever outside of their comfort zone forever. Like we're always outside of our comfort zone for a little bit to get the job done, whether that is to talk to the boss or talk to that person or talk to whatever, and then the job is done. But our ability to actually stay out there has just atrophied. So what do you need in order to be outside of your comfort zone? You need a reason to be outside of your comfort zone. I think that for a lot of people, I would, if only I weren't anxious, already throws a light at what it is that is important to them, why they want to leave their comfort zone. And then we have to ask ourselves, like, what gets in the way? And usually what gets in the way isn't some locomotive that is stopping you in your tracks. It is your thoughts that get in the way, and it's your emotions that get in the way. And your brain is incredibly good at giving you the best excuses in the world why you shouldn't be doing this right now, and you should be coming back into your comfort zone, and then maybe do that tomorrow, maybe do that next month, maybe do that when you're a little bit more prepared, instead of saying, you know what, these are just thoughts, these are just emotions, they're uncomfortable, and they're maybe even a little bit scary at times, but you know what, they can't really stop me, and I'm going to prove to myself that they can't stop me. Now, that is easier said than done. Like, just ignore your thoughts, just ignore your emotions, right? That's easier said than done. And it's probably very much impossible to do so. But you can learn skills that help you to disarm those thoughts. You can learn skills that help you to disarm those emotions. If there's a gigantic wall between your comfort zone and you doing that thing that is so important to you, and you don't know how to get over that wall, then these techniques, they help you to get the wall lower and lower and lower. So you still have to climb it a little bit, but it's now possible to climb over that wall, step outside of your comfort zone and do something that is important to you. And let me tie that back to what I said earlier, though, that you shouldn't be practicing this at work. Because you shouldn't be failing. Like, you're going to fail at work. Like, don't get me wrong, that's going to happen as well. But if you're setting out to practice something that you've never done before, practice it in an environment where it doesn't matter and where there are no real consequences. And that brings me to the secret ingredient of the training. And those are the comfort zone challenges. But I had you walk through some of them as well, Yael, as you were taking part in. Why don't you explain in your own words? You can use adult language and curse a lot, talking about the comfort zone challenges that I threw at you.
Michael has these great comfort zone challenges, and there's so many more that you'll learn in the video course, but they're all pretty funny. And I will just say, one of the tools that I love to disarm the thoughts and the feelings that might otherwise tell you that you shouldn't try to climb the wall and do something that really matters to you is humor. And so like being able to laugh at yourself and laugh at sort of the situation and is such a powerful tool to disarm the things that would otherwise prevent you. But one of my favorite ones that I remember doing, because I did this now a number of years ago, and I remember going to my kids' school to do pickup. And one of the challenges was to just like get down on the ground and lie down randomly, which I did. And you're not supposed to tell other people what you're doing or why you're doing it. And was it lie down, or I feel like I did two. One was lie down and one was like just have your arms up for like 30 seconds for no reason at all in a public space. And I remember both times friends looking at me being like, what's happening? But also it didn't really matter, but I was so embarrassed and it was just fine and pretty silly. So it's these kinds of exercises that Michael teaches that are really low stakes in terms of like, try it in a public place that you're not going to face severe consequences with your employment, for example. But it's an opportunity to sort of put yourself in a position where you're going to test like this anxiety, this voice in my head is telling me, don't do this. This is dangerous. But actually it's not. And so you're actually through these comfort zone challenges, demonstrating to yourself, to your brain, that some of the things that your mind tells you are quite untrue and pretty silly if you think about it. And so by testing this, by collecting evidence that demonstrates to you, actually nothing too terrible happens, even if I'm uncomfortable. And actually I can laugh a bit. It really does disarm those feelings and those voices that might tell you this is dangerous.
Yeah. And the beautiful thing with these challenges as well is that you do them at a set time, at a set place. And the magic of that is that you give your brain a lot of time to really get working on your excuses and all of that. And I've had people that emailed me and said, Michael, I got started on that homework assignment. It took me 2 hours because my brain found all the reasons why this is not a good place and this is not a good place and this is too busy and this is not busy enough and all of that stuff. And you get to observe that. And that is the real magic, because you're kind of lifting the veil on something that is running your life. If in another situation, in real time, in real life, something uncomfortable happens to us, all of that unfolds so quickly. Our brain comes up with a default behavior, our emotional system kicks in, it takes over the steering wheel, it takes us off. And then 5 seconds later, we wonder, wait a second, why did I do that? Why did I not say something? Because it happens so quickly. Like, how are you supposed to train in an environment where the difficult stuff shows up out of the blue? You didn't see it coming. And it is so overwhelming sometimes that you just do what you've always done. But give someone something quite uncomfortable and safe and uncomfortable and tell them you're going to do that tomorrow during the lunch break. You give someone a long night of staying up, thinking of how this is going to work out. What are people going to think? What if something goes wrong? What if? And there's like, look at that. That happens to me all the time. And then what you have, like the highlights, like the highlights for me, like training. This is when someone comes back to me and they says, you know what, Michael? I was at a, work or social event or whatever. I was in this situation and this thing happened and it made me feel so uncomfortable. But then I realized that I felt exactly the same way 2 weeks ago when you asked me to do this weird thing in public. And I just used the same techniques that I did back then. And I could like react in the way that I actually wanted to show up in this high pressure situation, in this emotionally laden situation. And that's what it's about. Like, I don't care how good everyone gets at laying down on the sidewalk or having their hands up in the air or high-fiving strangers. Like, that's not a life skill you want. But the life skill you want is to observe when your thoughts and your emotions don't align with who you want to be as a person. And then how do you approach those processes to enable you to now do the stuff that's actually important to you and not the stuff that your brain tells you to do because that's what you've always done.
So that brings me to a question that I had put a pin in earlier that I wanted to come back to, because one of the common things that is true for people who struggle with confidence and anxiety is that we care very much about other people. We want to make them happy. We want to nurture our relationships. We want to do good for the world, including with people that we care about. And so one of the common issues that might come up for people when something that is interpersonally uncomfortable comes up is that they might have a thought, a worry that engaging, showing up, doing the thing that would embody confidence would be annoying to other people. So for instance, folks with social anxiety have even told me that they worry about reaching out to their therapist to change an appointment or to ask for an additional appointment. And I know that the confidence building exercise that you give about going to a coffee shop and ordering something that's off the menu, like even worrying about irritating the server, the tricky thing is that it is value aligned because we might want to show up as people who are caring and respectful and considerate of other people. And so how should people think about this worry, especially if it really might be true?
Yeah, that is such an important question, and one that luckily everyone asks, because we shouldn't be annoying to other people. So there, I have a couple of thoughts around that. And the first thing is that someone who wants to be polite and not annoy other people, like, thank you. Like, you're a good person. Like,
we need
thank
more
you.
people like that in the world.
Yes, it is absolutely
also in leadership
correct.
Positions.
It is absolutely right. Like, please keep that thought. Please hold that thought. There's nothing wrong with you. You're a good human being. I've seen, luckily, just a handful. You could count them on like two hands. The people that showed up to workshops that didn't care about whether they would annoy someone else. They would just like tell me what to do. I'll do it. The really difficult. You can teach people to be more confident and open their mouth. You can't. It's really much more difficult to teach someone manners. So if you're the one who doesn't want to annoy people, you're starting from exactly the right place. That is exactly the right thing. So I will, however, throw something else at you. And that is, if you approach a stranger or a barista in the coffee shop and you, air quotes, are a little awkward or inconvenience them, guess what? You'll probably not be the story that they tell on their deathbed. You'll probably not be the center of the universe for the next 10 years. And the first thing they say when someone asks them, how are you? How's your day going? Oh, there was this one person who you wouldn't believe. They forgot you 3 minutes later.
I'm the center, Michael.
Even you, Yael, I mean, maybe you get another 10 minutes and they forget you like 13 minutes later. Or if they have a really boring life, you might be the highlight of their day and they come home and they tell their spouse about this weird person who ordered something off the menu. That's it. You're not the center of the universe.
I love that because that's so corrective, because either they have an interesting life and you don't occupy that much of their mental real estate, or their life is really boring and you just gave them a good story to tell.
Yeah. And also you don't know what's going through their head. You have no idea. And of course, we always assume, and that's good because we want to be polite, we always assume the worst. Like if I ask for something off the menu at the restaurant, the waiter is going to have the worst day of their life, so I'm not going to do that. But the truth is, we have no idea what's going through their mind. Maybe that chef is happy that for once they get challenged to do something new. And I have had the opportunity to test this out a lot of times, because when I did these live workshops here in Vienna, where we actually went out with a group of people and we had them like walk down the busy streets here next to the opera where all the tourists are and they did their little challenges, I was the guy just innocently following along. And I would sometimes ask people when I got like a weird look on someone's face when they were asked, like, and I was like, why do you think that person just asked you that? Why did you think that person just told you a joke? Why do you think that person just howled like a wolf? Or why do you think that person is just dancing over there or lying down on the sidewalk? The people just made sense of it. They said, oh, probably just lost the bet. Or probably just having a really good day. There was a street musician playing and there's a bunch of tourists standing around and watching the entire thing. And one of my participants walked up to a lady standing there and said, hey, do you want to dance? And got shut down, like stepping back, a head shake, no. And my participant, of course, walked off a little bit dejected, just got rejected. But I, playing the innocent, cute guy in a wheelchair, went up to her and said, what was that about? And you know what the lady said? She said, I have no idea what that was about, but I wish I had that kind of confidence. And that person, it walked off, thought I got rejected. And then when I later, actually, this is what was going, you don't know what's going through people's minds. And it is sometimes worth putting that putting that to the test. And lastly, guess what? You're going to annoy people all the time anyway. You're going to annoy people because you are in the grocery store and in the checkout lane, you are in front of them and you annoy them. Or you're behind them and you annoy them. You will annoy people because you're wearing a t-shirt. Or you will annoy people because you're wearing a dress or a shirt or a blouse. Or you will annoy people because you don't have a car. You will annoy people because you have a big car. You'll annoy people because you ride a bicycle, right? You'll annoy people all the time anyway. So this is the question, will I annoy people, is also what will stop you from asking someone out. It will stop you from asking for a promotion. It will stop you from asking a landlord to fix something in your apartment. What if I am annoying? And to run this question past the idea of what's actually important to me is the benchmark that we're going to use here.
Yeah, it's like the trick question. Are you going to annoy people? Because often you won't and you think you will, but also you will, and there's no avoiding it. So it's just the wrong question entirely is what you're saying.
Yeah.
And there are better questions to ask.
I think as long as we're doing this politely and respectfully and with the best intentions, I would even go so far and say that if I do that and I annoy someone, that's their problem and not mine. And of course, there's never a black and white thing here. We can say like, here's the line and this is like polite and this isn't. But if you find someone who's annoyed the entire time, all the time, it's probably more on them than it is on us.
When I moved into private practice about 7 years ago, one of my colleagues recommended Simple Practice. Her advice was spot on, and I've been using it ever since. Now I recommend it to anyone I talk to who's starting their own private or group practice. Simple Practice is an all-in-one EHR that is HIPAA compliant, high-trust certified, and built specifically for therapists. Simple Practice helps me streamline everything so I can spend less time on admin and more time focusing on my clients. I just send each new client a link, and then Simple Practice is my portal for consent forms, billing, appointment reminders, even my telehealth video platform. And I'm not the only POTC co-host who uses it. Emily does too, and Jill uses it to manage her group practice. If you're just starting out or growing your practice, there's also a credentialing service that takes the headache out of insurance enrollment, which will save you so much time and effort. Simple Practice is trusted by over 250,000 health and wellness professionals, and you can feel that in how thoughtfully it's built for our work. If you're ready to simplify the business side of your practice, now is the perfect time to try Simple Practice. Start with a 7-day free trial, then get 50% off your first 3 months. Just go to simplepractice.com to claim the offer. Again, that's simplepractice.com.
Running a podcast means that you're wearing a lot of hats and keeping track of a lot of to-do lists. It can be quite overwhelming. We have learned that finding the right tool can be a real game changer. For millions of businesses, that tool is Shopify. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from household names like Mattel and Heinz to brands just getting started. Tackle all those important tasks in one place, from inventory to payments to analytics and more. No need to save multiple websites or try to figure out what platform is hosting the tool you need. Everything is in one place, making your life easier and your business operations smoother. And what if I get stuck, you ask? Shopify is always around to share advice with their award-winning 24/7 customer support. Start your business today with the industry's best business partner, Shopify, and start hearing. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/POTC. Go to shopify.com/POTC. That's shopify.com/POTC.
So I've shared a few examples of exercises that I remember from many years ago, again, that I still think of on a weekly basis that are helpful to me. But I'm curious, Michael, for you, what is the favorite practice that either you do or that you recommend to people that you work with?
So I'm going to say the lie down challenge, the going to a public place. Like I've seen people do this at grocery stores, at malls, at bus stops, at train stations, at sidewalks.
Schoolyard blacktop.
Yes, that too. And just in a very comfortable way, lie down on the ground. So you have your your legs crossed a little bit. Maybe you're bringing a book. Maybe you're watching something on your phone. You look like a beachgoer, except that you're, somewhere in town where people usually don't lay around. You're obviously doing perfectly okay and you're having a good time. You're just a weird person lying around. And I think it's just a little bit of an historical thing that I love this challenge so much. It combines the ludicrousness of what will people think about me, but it also combines this magical moment where almost everyone reports back on that. And they said, like, the first 30 minutes that my brain was having me like find all the excuses in all the right spots and all the right, that was so hard. But the moment my bum touched the ground, it was over and I was relaxed. It's that the thing that we're so afraid of isn't the hard stuff. It's like getting there. That's the hard one. And I've also, on my proudest moments, I did a workshop on this with TEDx here in Vienna, where I ran a workshop for them. And one of the participants lay down on the ground, and we were just observing from 100 feet away. Like, we were just bystanders, and this person was lying down. A total stranger walked up to that person and said, "Oh, are you doing a lie down challenge?" Lay down next to them, and we took a photo of that as well.
That's amazing.
It's so iconic.
Well, you've just shared some really good stories of people who have been successful in trying out some of these challenges and found that they are really powerful. And I will say that is 100% the case for me. And while I know that I may be your most transformed person that you've ever worked with, I am curious. I mean, do you have a favorite story of somebody that you've worked with and how they've taken these lessons and really made changes to their lives?
Like, so many stories that came out of like all of these workshops and in person and online with amazing people. Once here in Vienna, we have a lot of those people that dress up like Mozart and they stand around the opera and they sell you tickets. And they are oftentimes the recipient of these challenges because participants walk up to them and they want something from them. And
they're sitting ducks.
Yeah, they're sitting ducks, exactly. So one of them asked us, what are you guys doing here? And the next week, he showed up to the workshop. And ever since then, Yael, I'm getting free opera tickets, which is amazing.
Oh my God.
But like, the story that still warms my heart to this day, because I see it on social media so often, is like, there was this one lady at one of those workshops. So back in the day, like 2016, when I ran this in my living room, right? 20 people in my living room. This lady sits on the couch and really shy. And she says, "I want to be a street musician. I want to play like music on the street and make some money with that. But no way I could do that." So we had her out there, like stepping outside of their comfort zone. We approached street musicians and we said, "Hey, can she do a song here? Like, can she sing a song?" And so on and so on. And a few months later, she performed for the first time, like in front of my apartment building, like on the street outside. And then she formed a band, and they have 2 albums out. During the pandemic, I saw her perform on national TV live during like Austria Got Talent. She was in the finalists and she was performing a song live on stage. I sat there with like tears in my eyes watching. And I still there's a new song that came out last week and she has a music video out on social media. And to think that I was able to play like a very small part in getting that ball rolling, that is just absolutely. Oh, you know what? I should ask her if we can play the song at the end of this episode. Let's see.
I mean, it's such powerful stuff. And so, dear listener, if you struggle with confidence and want to laugh while you learn skills to enter into the world in ways that are meaningful, that have been scary for you to do until now, I highly recommend checking out Michael's course. Michael, where can people go to find out more and get access to this really valuable content?
So the easiest way to go there is to go to the show notes, and there we'll find a link to herold.coach. That's my website. So herold.coach/course. And you'll find it there. Right now it's priced at $97 because I want this to be out there and available to as many people as possible. $97, that's half the price of a coaching session. And I also I am someone who, when I spend money on the internet, I kind of want to know what I'm getting into. So I'm also offering the first module of the course for free. That's about an hour or so long. Go to herold.coach/course. Go ahead, watch it. If you like the way I present, if you like the exercises, if you like how everything is set up, then go ahead and get the course. And if that was not for you, then that is, of course, perfectly fine as well.
Wow. I know that I sound a little over the top, but I swear this material has really helped me so much, has really transformed what I was able to do in my professional life and my personal life. So I definitely recommend it, if these are things that you struggle with. And as Michael said, we'll have all the information in the show notes. And thank you, Michael, for being a guest on your podcast.
Thank you, Yael, for interviewing me on this.
Thank you for listening to Psychologists Off the Clock. You can now listen to our podcast ad-free by becoming a supporter on Patreon. You can link to Patreon on our website or go to patreon.com/offtheclocksite.
If you enjoy our podcast, you can help us out by leaving a review and sharing this episode with a friend or an enemy who would enjoy it.
You can get more psychology tips by subscribing to our fabulous newsletter on Substack. Or if you're still addicted to social media, find us on Instagram and LinkedIn.
We'd like to thank our rockstar production manager, Jadine Stout-Williams.
Now for the boring part. This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only and is not meant to be a substitute for mental health treatment. If you're looking for mental health treatment, please visit the resources page of our website, offtheclockpsych.com.
Here is Lily and the Wildflowers with 6 years.
Nobody's known me longer than 6 years. I can't blame them. I tend to disappear. Nobody told me that safety takes so long, and those you don't see, eventually they're gone. And it's done. I have lived up to here. My sister's wedding, I'm talking to her friends. They're telling stories of how it was back then. Another lifetime, a different storyline. I can't imagine someone truly knowing mine. And it's fine, I just still wonder why. Can we start over? I wasn't ready. Can we start over? I didn't know which way to run. The harder part isn't the start, it's the staying.